Hey everyone, Aaron Bowman here, and today I have Dr. Layne with me, who is also an advisor with David Edwards for PMAs. We've been doing this together now for a little while, and I thought we'd get together and kind of just have a discussion about PMAs and different things that we see as advisors. So you'll see this on my channel, on her channel, and hopefully you get some value out of this. Now, I have to apologize first off on my end that if there's any noise, I've got 3 out of the 5 kids home from school right now, so at any given time between them, the 2 dogs, the 2 hamsters, 2 cats, and chickens, there could be some distractions.
It happens over here too. The last video I just posted, I was laughing because my dog is cracking on a bone in the background.
Yep, it never fails. It never fails.
Yep.
So, doctor, what are you a doctor of? I guess we'll start there.
I am a doctor of chiropractic.
All right. I love my chiropractic doctor. He keeps me running well.
It's such good stuff. I don't know how people do life without body care.
It's amazing, right? Like once I get adjusted, I feel like a new person. It's absolutely amazing, and I've had 2 different chiropractors. This one by far is the best. And I think it's because of the way he adjusts. The last person I had was more of a pounce, and this guy's more pressure, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally.
So it was definitely a great experience. So PMAs, you have one.
PMA, I have one.
I have one. Let's talk about your PMA.
I gathered that our story's a little similar, although you have more background from listening. He's got a great channel, by the way, if you're seeing this online, which I will link. That you have a little more background in the legal ends and the Constitution and the law. These were things that, like so many of us, that were like, wait a minute, I know nothing.
True. I didn't know a lot either until I really dove into it and submerged myself in it.
So I think you and I both, about April of 2021, established our PMAs. And my story is, I've been hanging out with all the freedom fighters, and one of them came into the office and said, we are doing PMAs. We're doing what? What do you want? And being somebody who usually weighs all my options, I went to the first, as far as I know, first Zoom call with Mike at Renegade Ranch, which is over the hill from me, and watched that and said, no brainer, I'm in. I just said, I will ask questions later.
Yep. Yeah. Very similar for us. We started getting a lot of the medical mandates and medical tyranny here in Connecticut. And you just knew in your gut there was something wrong. But unfortunately, they don't teach civics anymore, the Constitution. Heck, half the schools don't even say the Pledge of Allegiance anymore. And I just knew in my gut that there was something wrong. So we started doing some stuff with Pam Popper and Make America Free Again. And that really, too many people felt that was too close to Trump, and they wanted something that wasn't really political, so to speak, and more of built on laws like our republic is built on. We're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic. Right. And so that being said, at one of our meetings, there was a few of us that started talking, and then we said, hey, let's do a freedom bazaar. Let's just do it. We threw it together in 2 weeks, and then we saw there was a need for it. And we said, okay, well, how do we do this and keep everybody protected? And then somebody raised their hand and said, how about a PMA? And I was like, what is a PMA? This is all new to me. Like, I was meeting homeschoolers and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, this is a little different. And then I had the phone call with David Edwards after looking at a lot of his stuff and some of the videos and some of the stuff that Tara did from Freedom Angels. And then I was like, okay, he's got a similar background to me, gave me that warm, fuzzy feeling. And then we had Liberty House created. And then part of that was me being able to understand how to recreate these for other people.
Isn't that neat? And so you have a ministry, right?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. Which is such a neat structure, because mine's the health association, the faith-based health association. And every time I do founding documents now for the ministry, I keep looking, I keep thinking, maybe I want to switch.
Yeah. I actually had a conversation with a lady today up in, I should say down in Philadelphia, and she's a music teacher, and she has been teaching music, I think, out of her house or a studio. And so she was looking at the PMAs, and I met her through one of the other groups that I'm in that has to deal with all legality stuff. So one of the courses that we went through together was through Dr. Graves out of Florida, Judicial Dictionary, which is a great course, and really kind of teaches you how the court system works. So her and I were talking today, and she was leaning towards the faith-based PEA, a private education association. And then we started talking about the ministry, because eventually they're going to move and they want to have more of a community outreach along with the music, doing some other like life coaching and just helping to rebuild a community, so to speak. So the question was asked, if I start off as a faith-based PEA, can I convert to a ministry? Now, this is the first time I've been asked this question, and thank God I've got David on speed dial. So I sent him a text and I was like, hey, not quite sure how to answer this. I want to say that I think it's possible, but I don't know if it's the best. And his answer was, in the long run, it would save them, time, energy, cost to just create the ministry from the get-go. Yep. And instead of trying to start as a faith-based and then add parts to it to make it a ministry. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, and then the way I explained it to her before I even talked to David was, if you have the ministry set up, you might not be using all the aspects of it, maybe just a part of it, but you'll have been operating longer as a ministry. So if you are challenged at any point in time, you'll have more history to go on, and more type of standing. So yeah, it's fun, the questions we get. I can only imagine some of the questions you get.
Oh my goodness. And I'm stretched. You couldn't have told me at the beginning of 2021 that this is what I would be doing, but it does really, really fit with a lot of my background and a lot of my knowledge. And again, a lot of that really sense that you were talking about of what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
And yeah. This just can't be right. And then other things where I go, yeah, that's totally wrong. And then finding out that, yeah, I'm really surrounded by that constitutional law. Yep. And biblical law and all of these things that we have been able to say, oh, right, we are on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a lot of questions.
It's a lot to take in. So one of the questions I get, I don't know if you've had this, is, okay, if I'm converting a business or maybe starting a practice in the natural health field, let's go with changing it from an LLC or sole proprietorship to into the private. So you're taking your business out of the public, bring it into the private. I'm not sure if my current clients are going to be on board, because one person I talked to was like, well, if I go a ministry route, that's really not what they're used to. So I don't know if that's going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be a part of this. Have you had those questions at all, as far as, what would it be like switching or converting, and how would my members or clients take it?
Absolutely. And what I help them through is really on your founding documents, the ones, for the most part, people can see them if they want as members, but for the most part, the ones that say ministry with that sort of thing that I think most people just kind of worry about, or it's a consideration, is like, I don't want to sound like a church. I get a lot of that.
Yep.
And I'm like, I get that, because you're not a church.
Right.
But anyway, so those documents on your bylaws, your articles of association, those are the ones that really say it over and over again, or more often.
Right.
And on your membership intake form or your membership application, the one that the public, your members will see. Right. It's not all over that.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And one of the ways I explain it to people is, listen, you can, so I'm very transparent with people. I let people know that I've done a lot of case law research, or to me, it's a lot, it's a lot of reading. So when I explain this to people is, yes, you can have, both know that you can have the public and private side. Mm-hmm. If you choose to keep the public side open, because maybe some of your clients or your people that you're treating or associating with don't want to be a member of your PMA, and that's fine. And I use PMA, for everybody that's listening, as a catch-all for ministries, for faith-based, for everything. It's just, I use it as like a blanket statement. So with the PMAs, you can keep the public side open. So if somebody doesn't want to be a member of your PMA, that's fine. They don't have to be. And you can allow them to keep coming in. But now when the mandates start rolling back out, or you have to start operating under these mandates as far as taking temperatures, asking for vaccine passports, all this other nonsense that they're coming out with, if you are, as a person, aren't comfortable with that, then you can shut that LLC side down, or that sole proprietorship, and say, I'm not taking anybody in anymore right now. And the only people I'm going to be seeing are through my membership. So I think some people will end up converting because they're like, well, I still want to see my doctor or my natural health care person, or, I want to get music lessons or karate lessons or whatever it is. And, or I want to come in and be able to buy, naturally made products. So I think you're going to start seeing more people being more open and understanding to the whole PMA the whole PMA structure, I guess is the best way to put it. And the biggest thing I tell people is, when you're doing the public and private at the same time, you absolutely have to have separate accounts, separate websites, separate emails. Everything is separate. So there's no way, shape, or form if the government comes in and says you're creating a clear and present danger and substantial evil because you're selling, oatmeal soap, that you need to shut down, and you're operating as an LLC and not the PMA. And that's just not the case, as long as you're separate. Because the only court cases I've looked at, and there's been a couple that where they failed, is they were taking money into the LLC but saying that these people are part of a PMA, and that's not how it works.
Right. Yes, that is definitely what I have been encouraging people to do. It's just like, keep it separate, and name it different if you can.
Yep.
The whole ball game. Fortunately for me, when I made the switch, it's just members.
So are you completely private now?
I'm completely private.
Did you keep your license?
I did.
Okay. All
For
right.
now.
For now. Yep.
For now. And because it's going to renew, it doesn't renew until the end of this year, 2022.
Okay.
And so I thought, well, I'll just kind of not renew it.
Right.
And instead of waving, maybe I won't wave the great big flag that says what I'm doing. Just keep it down here.
Right.
But I did. Now, that said, just for the people listening, that said, I went through my documents with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that this was going to be okay. And as far as I understand them, I'm still, because of my founding documents that says I'm not inviting in these federal or state or local entities, even though I said yes to the license. I'm not saying you get to come in here.
Right.
I'm saying actually you don't get to come in here.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I promised a few people that are probably going to watch this, that I would ask you some specific questions, because I have some natural health care, massage, I think one of them is a chiropractor, or a mental health specialist. They do a lot of telehealth right now. So they're only allowed to practice in Connecticut. But if they had members in different states, they would be able to kind of scoot around those requirements and be able to help and give that mental health awareness and whatnot to other people in different states. So the biggest question I get, and I don't know if you have an answer for this, and that's fine, billing. Do you do anything with insurance anymore?
Nope.
Okay. So it's strictly. Okay.
Strictly. Now here, I did notice I've got a super bill right here.
That's the other thing. I talked to Amber, if you're watching this, not to put you out on Front Street here, but I did talk to her, and I was like, hey, what does Dr. Layne do for billing? Because I'm getting these billing questions and I don't deal with billing. We do everything with a private bank. So she said, she's mentioned something about super billing before. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's a real term or not, but we're doing a Zoom, so I'm going to ask her.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah. And now, to be fair, I've always done this.
Okay.
I have never contracted with insurance.
Oh, okay.
I've always had a cash practice, but the way to do that is to have a super bill.
Okay.
Okay. And this is just something they pay me. I hand it to them and they can submit it to their insurance.
Oh, and the insurance reimburses them.
And insurance reimburses them. Specifically, I have asked David, and it was on our course too.
Yep.
But I did notice the other day, so now I have the EIN on here that goes with my PMA because I switched, obviously. But I also noticed that it has my license number. I'm the provider. So I was looking at this the other day and going, okay, so if I don't renew, I'm probably going to take that off.
Right.
Right. Again, whatever you do with this, once it leaves my office, once it leaves my association, your business. Same with the 1099 question.
Yep.
For employees. Once we hand it to the employees, what they do with it is their business. We don't file that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So those of you that have watched some of my videos, there's your answer when it comes to billing and insurance.
Yeah.
That's awesome, because there have been like a few things where people have like, so our Liberty House, and so we have Liberty House, and then I also have East Coast PMA, which I set up to set up PMAs because I didn't want it tied to Liberty House. And with Liberty House, it started off as, okay, we want to provide something for community, and the membership just grew and grew. And now we have a bunch of families and kids, and, we're now looking for our own space. But when I talk to somebody, it's like, hey, I want to run a health practice. I'm like, well, I know how to form those documents and set them up. But there's certain things like the insurance, like, can they still do insurance? Do they not do insurance? What's a super bill? Can you do a monthly subscription base? I'm like, sure, if you want to do a monthly subscription base, it's your PMA. Why not? Yep. And I think that's the biggest thing is people have a hard time disconnecting from the public side and saying, well, this right here is my PMA, my little coaster. This is my PMA. And me and my trustees and I are going to be able to, I think you're frozen. Hopefully you come back. Oh, there you are. Okay. And this is our PMA, and my trustees and I can run this the way that we see fit based on the way the documents are formed. So if you want to do a monthly subscription, quarterly, yearly, per visit, you can do that. And I think that's really hard for some people to wrap their head around, because even if you are a quote unquote entrepreneur and you have your own business, you still had to do things a certain way. You weren't fully able to operate however you wanted to, and I think the having the PMAs in place, as long as you're not creating that substantial evil of that clear and present danger, you're able to really operate what best fits for you and your members. So that's pretty cool. Thank you for answering that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I wanted to follow up a little bit on that too, as you mentioned, going other places. I'm turning off this thing. As you mentioned, going other places. Your PMA follows you where you go.
It does. That's the best part.
So I have no qualms about coming to visit you in Connecticut and saying, hey, we're just going to set up a adjusting table as long as these people are my members.
Yep.
Then we can do that.
Well, I'll make sure you get the next invite to the next event we do, and we'll have you come out here. That would be great.
We were just talking about that. I said, okay, because who knows what they're going to do with flights and travel and everything. I said, that's it. We're renting a big motorhome. We'll have a caravan with a big billboard on the sign that says we do not comply. Yep. And go visit all the warm places in the country.
That's what the gentleman Ernie Hancock did. That I was he had me as a guest on his podcast, and he has the Freedom Bus, and I think they were coming up from Florida at that point, and they were heading back towards Arizona maybe or something like that. So yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome to see that driving around on the highways and byways, that do not comply. Which, when I talk to some people look at this as a silent protest, I guess is the best way to put it, because we are using what our founding fathers had put into place, the way the Constitution was written, in standing case law, to be able to operate in the private without having to worry about infringement from the government. And a lot of people that I've been talking to are like, this is brilliant. Why haven't we heard about these? I said, because we're in New England and we didn't do these things here in New England. I'm in the Constitution state and I've never heard of these before. You got to be down south, it's crazy. But yeah, it's pretty cool when you see that light bulb, when their eyes light up and they're like, this is a fantastic way of doing business and providing for my family and whatnot. Yep. So have you seen an increase in membership since you switched from the public to the private side, as far as people being on board without having to deal with the mandates?
Absolutely, because that was how these people found me in the first place was speaking out at county commissioner meetings. And I said, chiropractors have always known, I'm like, we've always known that your body has this immune system and natural, we're going to create herd immunity. And then I was mobbed as I came out. People said, do we have to wear a mask? And this was actually before establishing the PMA, but
yeah,
I just said, he will never have to do that in my office.
yeah.
I didn't care if I got in trouble. I still don't care if I get in trouble. I'm not going to get in trouble. But anyway, I said, yes, of course, you can come to my place. If you want to wear a mask, fine. Probably I'm not going to be a fan, but. And then word has traveled. And it's so neat because the one thing that I've changed for our listeners is I used to let people book online for a first consult. Now I have them book a phone conversation.
Okay.
Okay. So that I can walk them through what's going on. What are your goals? Oh, by the way, here's something amazing that I do differently. I have this private health association structure. Here's the benefits for you. Across the board, every single one of them says, that's amazing. I'm in.
Right. That's awesome. That's really cool. And I think more people need to hear that, because it's one thing to talk to a person like myself or yourself, and maybe, you're like, I can relate more with somebody that's not in the health field because I'm not in that, but talking to, somebody that's like, hey, how does this work? I can give them some information on it, but to actually listen to a doctor that's currently doing what she teaches and walking the walk is huge, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I battle it constantly, it seems like, with the state nationals and I'm a sovereign citizen and all this patriot mythology that's going to get you in jail because it's not using anything that's in place. What we have works, and this is proving it. PMAs work. And just like the lady in Jersey, I don't know if you were on that call with her constitutional attorney. She had the PEA that's being challenged.
Right.
And it's not like the states don't know what we're doing. They use the right terminology to kind of get, to try to get an injunction going. I don't think it ever went through, but they use the word clear and present danger to the children for not wearing a mask. Okay, well, how do you know they're not wearing a mask? Just because they walk in the door doesn't mean they don't put a mask on. We all know they're not wearing masks probably, but they know what we're doing. They know that, we're operating in the private. So the other thing I try to tell a lot of people is when they're getting their founding documents written and they want to run or have a PMA, is that you need to know how to defend them. You need to know what you need to do in order to defend yourself, because they are going to be challenged at some point in time.
Right. So I wanted to ask you for my community as well, because I am helping more people now with ministries. They start with the foundation of their ministry is health, like a veterinarian, a holistic veterinarian,
Yep.
A chiropractor, or maybe a chiropractor, animal chiropractor. So they've got this health foundation, but they also are like, hey, I'm going to want to have a farm so I can grow my own tinctures. We're going to do some education. Who knows if I'm going to need to homeschool? All of those questions are coming up. So how are you doing that?
So the way I'm doing that with the ministry is I see the ministry as more of a, I guess, larger umbrella, so to speak, is the way of putting it. Because if you have a faith-based PEA, PHA, or PMA, private membership association, private health association, private education association, for those of you who don't know, I being a military guy, I love acronyms, and it's like I use them and people have no idea what I'm talking about. So if you're setting up a health thing, yes, you could do a faith-based holistic healthcare, providing maybe some classes about healthcare and how to better yourself. But I think if you have a ministry, you can do more, right? You can have a minister if you want. You could do ecclesiastic marriages if that's something you wanted to do for your members. But it allows you to not only offer your main services, in my opinion, but you can also do educational stuff. You could hold classes if you wanted to hold, not necessarily, like ABCs and 1, 2, 3s for kids, but maybe you want to have an enrichment class on how to care for your animals as a holistic veterinarian, you could do that for different age groups. So like with us, with Liberty House, we have our main focus is helping the community and having that community outreach. Now, we're not all, like I was raised Southern Baptist. We have people that are Jewish. We have people that are Catholic. We have people that have a religious belief or faith in nature. So we're not just your typical denomination, right? I believe that, like our founding fathers, that our Constitution was built on laws and a Judeo-Christian value. And if you aren't a religious person, don't read anything that any of the founding fathers wrote, because it all has some type of religious undertone to it or overtone. So within Liberty House, we've been able to have events to bring in members, because I can't think of a better word than recruit lately, but I don't want to use the word recruiting members, but bringing people into the ministry that are looking for that outlet to have their kids play with other kids and not have to worry about masks or being vaccinated or having to show a vaccine card, or they're trying to roll out passports here in Connecticut. And then we've also done classes. So we actually have a tincture class coming up. I think it's next week. And one of our members does tinctures, and he's a forager, and he was at our holiday bazaar and he was selling different stuff there. And we worked with all local vendors, and they all became members for that event. And then we've done preparedness classes and all types of different things. We've had, I think they're doing a vision board is next. We've had a few members get the flu, so they've been, dealing with that. But I think overall, if you have a belief or a faith based in, or a faith in God or a faith in nature, and having a ministry, you don't need to use it all, but it does provide you a lot more, in my opinion, as far as what you can do with outreach.
Yeah. And I think as you were talking to, because we are so diverse in this country, and that's one of the things we want to continue to cultivate and enrich each other. And so when somebody comes in, you say, I have a ministry. Well, great. Whatever your faith is,
right,
you belong here. And maybe we look at it, because I have a chuckle about that too. I've been ministering to people most of my life, especially in my career.
right.
I minister to them with health, and I minister to their body, and I minister maybe to their mind a little bit with conversation or talking about spiritual matters and how that intertwines with our health.
Yeah.
So everything that you just talked about is the same thing. We're ministering to these kids or teens or grown-ups with making a tincture,
Right.
learning something new. So,
and I think that's the greatest thing. Well, first of all, we're probably all considered right-wing extremists nowadays, but but the thing is, when you start building your PMA and you start building the community, regardless of what type of PMA it is, you might have a vision of where you think it's going to go and what it's going to be, and it completely just naturally changes on its own. So we have so many members that have come in that bring different skill sets to the table. Like, for example, my wife, Alyssa, we were having crackers and cheese the other night with some wine, and I broke the cheese cutter because the thing was bent, and I just figured I could muscle it and get it into the right spot. Broke it. So I put it out in our Telegram group that's just for members. Hey, hold on a second. Really? Oh, come on. Get out of here. And I thought it was going to be one of the kids that made noise. All right, that's it. Stop. So I put it out there. I said, hey, anybody make cheese cutters or know where I can get one locally? And one of our members was like, my workshop's not up fully, but I am making those. I don't have anything currently made, but I can make you a one-off. I'm like, that's awesome, because I'd rather spend money within our community than spending it on Amazon or eBay or something like that.
Yeah, it's so exciting. One, so we'll give you links to that once you found a PMA. So you can be in the directory, and I wasn't really going to bring this up, so maybe we'll just barely touch on it. But
okay.
The bank that you had the link to, I spoke to them and had a great conversation. I'm so excited to work with a bank that is also a PMA.
Yeah, that is, and again, I think everything happens for a reason. I think a lot of people are like that. I think some people, you can manifest a few things and stuff like that, but when I started this, I didn't think I was going to have any type of YouTube channel outside or podcast outside of real estate. And I was like, well, I've got the skill set, so let's start doing YouTube. And then we had our fall festival. One of the gentlemen that came with another member, and he was on his way back to Washington State, where they have an intentional living community. And he asked me a ton of questions, and he's like, hey, I would like to do an interview with you on this. I think this is really great. I think it'd be great for our community of like 300 people. And I was like, yeah, sure, man. I'll do an interview with anybody. I've never been interviewed before, but cool. Why not? That then led to me talking to Ernie Hancock, and that, not realizing how big of a platform he has, my phone just started ringing, and I was getting text messages, and I was like, okay, now I've got to come up with like a website and be able to like kind of field some of this stuff. But that's where I'm assuming you talked to Wayne from the
I
Linebaugh.
talked to Christine.
Okay, you talked to Christine.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on this. I think that's his wife, but I might be mistaken. So I've talked mostly with Wayne, and him and Bernard have been doing this for a while. And when he told me about it, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. It's another PMA. He liked that we were getting the information out about PMAs. And when I tell people when they're setting up their PMAs now, here's a way to bank, because it allows you to do everything from bill pay to requesting money to sending money, just like you would use Cash App or Venmo. And now that Venmo is going to start taxing you on the amount of money you spend through Venmo, which blows my mind, because if you go out to eat every night with a friend and you get, as one of my trustees put it, you get a bottle of wine with somebody, you Venmo them the money, you've already paid tax on that food. Now you're getting taxed again on the money that you're sending. So to me, this is like a home run. It's completely private, completely separate, and it's all backed by silver. And I've had a lot of questions for Wayne when I talked to him, because you can look up the Liberty Dollar Financial Association, and you can see that they've been doing this since the late 90s, early 2000s. There was some issues with the three-letter agencies after they passed some laws, because people were taking these silver rounds and trying to use them at like Walmart and stuff. And now they're not legal tender. The only form of legal tender is what's printed by the Federal Reserve, which has nothing to do with the government. Which is backed by nothing, or what we call fiat currency. Now, what's great about this is you and I can be in contract privately with each other. And if you accept the silver that I want to pay you, you could accept that privately. I could also send it to you electronically. You could send me a bill or a payment button saying, hey, I need you to pay this before you come in for your visit. And it's all backed by silver. So yes, it's going to go up and down in value. But at the end of the day, if I have $5,000 in there, I can cash that out and have $5,000 worth of silver coin in my house. And I think it's going to be great. We're actually going to be, I don't know if I want to put this out there yet. We're going to be doing some stuff here in Connecticut with the Liberty Dollar, to where we're going to be working with local vendors, because there's spots here in Connecticut that local businesses take crypto. Crypto is an alternate currency, just like this is now considered an alternate currency. So as long as you're not trying to use it as legal tender, you're not doing anything wrong. When you walk into the gas station and say, hey man, I want to give you the silver coin, it's worth $22. I need $22 worth of gas. Unless they're set up to take that, and that's kind of the hint, what we're going to do is get people set up to take that here within the freedom groups and within local businesses, just like crypto. Now you're having that alternate currency that actually is backed by something. And that is just blows my mind. It's huge for me. I'm very excited about it. And the best part is they've already had their legal challenges. They've had their battles and they've won. And the only thing, they couldn't even get him on like counterfeiting, which is what they were trying to get him on. They couldn't even get him on that. They got him on, people not understanding that it's not a legal tender. And now that's very blatantly put all over their website. Like it says, private money for private people, which is just fantastic. So I'm glad you got to talk to him.
I did. And I'm depositing money tomorrow, and I'm going to send them an e-check and get it all rolling. And then once I learn more of the ins and outs, and then I'm going to write up a thing for all my members and tell them, hey, if you want to create an account over here for your money, then you can start paying me this way.
Yes, that's how we're going to probably do it out this way too, because you can do e-check, you can do wire transfer, you can do those aspects. They're eventually going to be adding a debit card to it. I think e-check where you can take a picture with your phone and have it go into the account. I know they're doing some work on their app right now. Two of my kids are fighting upstairs. 1 second. Okay. So, so there's a lot still that they're going to be rolling out. The best part is you can get it in smaller denominations. So I've ordered some silver rounds and I've ordered some silver certificates, which is kind of similar, but not similar to the gold back. So gold backs are big in Utah, parts of New Hampshire, and they're a Mylar bill where if you melted it down, it, like the ones I have, would be 1/100th of an ounce of gold. These are paper and they're a warehouse receipt attached to them to a piece of silver. So if I have 1/10 of an ounce of silver on $1, I know that's worth $3. And there's actually going to be an RQ code on it where you can scan it and get the real time value of that piece of paper. So there's a lot that they're doing behind the scenes. They've got their own Liberty Network. I think it's libertynetwork.nl. All their servers, from my understanding, are off the coast. So they're not housed at like Amazon or anything like that, where they can get shut down if somebody doesn't like what they're doing. And they have, like their own like version of Facebook. You can put books on there. You can sell stuff. They're having their own version of like YouTube coming out where you can put videos up and not have to worry about them being taken down. To an extent, again, they're a PMA. So if you're causing a substantial evil or harm or threat, then obviously, any type of hate speech or anything like that I'm assuming would be taken down. But if you want to talk about election fraud on there, they're not going to take it down like Google will, or Twitter or Facebook. So they've got a lot that they're rolling out in the near future. And I really think it's pretty cool what they got going on.
I'm so excited. As I was reading a little more, and then I wanted to talk to them, and I was reading the part about, they need people to actually have locations to do more. I was like, okay, Layne, slow your roll.
Don't let the cat out of the bag yet, because that's what we're doing here in Connecticut. We're getting the location set up.
Slow your roll. Let's learn first. But I see PMAs as a major piece of the puzzle of creating the society that our forefathers always dreamed of.
Absolutely.
And the more facilities, the more talents and abilities and people that we have, that we can interact with each other and not the public, the better.
Absolutely. Because, I think the more people start getting turned on to this concept of PMAs and seeing that they're backed by the Constitution, by laws, and that there's ways for us to interact outside of the Federal Reserve to have commerce with each other. I think people are going to like that because it's a leaner, less intrusive government. We're able, and that's the way it was set up. The government was, a lot of people think the government was created the Constitution, created the states and the people, and it was the people created the states created the Constitution created the federal government. So if we were invaded, we would have a government there to protect our inalienable rights. And unfortunately, most people don't know what those rights are. But, I think as people start getting turned on to this and realizing, yes, this is how things were supposed to be. We shouldn't, and don't even get me started on taxes, but, the whole thing with, I should be able to go to my neighbor and say, hey, you sell honey. I want to buy honey from you. Here's a coin, or here's $1, or here's something, but have it being actually backed by something, I think is going to get a lot of wheels turning for people. And they're going to be like, yeah, this is right. This is how things should be. It's clean. It's neat. It's pure. It's whole. It's not, oh, well, here's the government subsidy and a handout. Now you have to vote this way, and all that nonsense that goes on. We're not a two-party system. And I think the sooner we get back to laws and I think PMAs are going to be a way of it.
They really are. It's really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me know when you open up your branch office or your service office. And
I was laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, no.
Well, I was really bummed we didn't do a meeting. I talked to Amber the other day. I was like, hey, are we doing a advisors meeting this week? Because I really want to talk about the Dr. Graves course and this Liberty Dollar. Like, we all need to get on board with this, So Amber's looked at it. I think she sent it to some people to look at. I'm like, this is the way to do things. Like, this is completely private. Like, there is no government interference whatsoever. And I think more people are going to be on board with that.
It's so cool. Are we linking this one, or are we just telling our members for now? Please hint.
Yeah. Well, we can link it, I guess. Why not?
Why not? We'll just give them the website and then they can do it.
Give them the website and they can sign up. And that's the best part. There's no fees or anything to join. And when you sign up with an account with the Liberty Dollar Financial Association, you actually become a part of their PMA by signing up and agreeing to be a member. And then the only time you pay a fee, it's no different than if you were going to use PayPal or anything like that. There's a small transaction fee, which to me, I'd rather pay these guys the money and the small transaction fee to actually have something backed by silver.
I'm so excited about it because I was like, so I can move all my little bill pay things over to you.
Yep.
That's just like, absolutely. This is exciting because, I mean, to be totally transparent, as I am too, is I have been having as little money in the bank right now as possible.
Right. Oh yeah. Our Liberty House, we've done everything. For the majority of it's been in cash, and we've done it that way. We were using Square for a while with, like, we had local vendors coming into our events that had, their own homemade things or whatever they produce, and they wanted to sell at our events and memberships and stuff like that. We were doing that way because it was convenient. So now going forward, we'll probably not put all our eggs in one basket. Not everybody's going to come to an event and be like, oh, let me sign up for this app and, be able to transact that way. That's something just more or less for members. But having that ability to not worry about the inflation of the dollar or the dollar just disappearing altogether, it's,
right.
I have that physical piece of silver in my hand, which is nice. It's cool. And I don't know if you know this, but they actually, if you pay, I think it's $1,300, you can pay it. I think it's the fee that they are charged by the mint that they use. I think it's out of Hawaii and Pennsylvania, maybe. I might be mistaken. But you can actually, if you have a design, you can get your own coins minted. So we're actually thinking of doing that for Liberty House, because a lot of members are like, hey, where can I buy silver? And I've been using money metal exchange and stuff like that to get gold backs and silver coins. So I'm like, we should have our own Liberty House 1 ounce coin. I'm like, that'd be cool. So eventually I think we're going to do that, and the members can buy their own coins and stuff like that. And it's that 999% silver. So you can't get much better than that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So you can always, maybe we'll have like the coins minted. So if you want to get in, you got to show your coin or something. Something along those lines.
Secret code.
Yep. Secret code or something. But yeah, no, it is pretty exciting. And it's nice to start seeing it all come together, because honestly, banking was one of the biggest things. And it's like, you can't go to Bank of America because they're going to want you to sign stuff with the state to be, statutory compliant. And none of the stuff we do is statutory compliant. And then, you have to go in there. And if you're brand new to PMAs and you just got your documents and you're not that versed in it, you're going to go in there and try to explain what a PMA is and pretty much word vomit all over yourself. And then they're going to be like, what are you talking about? So this, and I mean, technically you wouldn't even need an EIN anymore for banking purposes if you use just the Liberty Dollar.
That's awesome.
Which is cool. The only thing you would need EIN for is if you wanted to buy stuff at wholesale at that point, but yeah, awesome. So there's a lot of good stuff going on, and we are almost at an hour, I think.
Oh my goodness. So we need to do this more often.
We do.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. And I will get you a copy of this as soon as it's done processing. And I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. This was awesome. We definitely need to do this more often.
You too. And I hope everybody learned something.
Yes.
Yeah. Join us on our respective channel.
And make sure you check our channel out.
And check his channel out. Rebel Alliance. It's great.
It is. It's getting there. I had a hard time figuring out a name, but I'm like, I'm a Star Wars guy, so I'm going with it.
I like it a lot.
Cool. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Aaron. Thanks.
Yep. Bye-bye.